Stack of the seas of the moon in alphabetical order. Mare aliorum, sea of others. Mare ambulationis, sea of walking. Mare unguis, snake sea. Mare crisium, sea of crises. Mare dormiendi nuditer, sea of sleeping naked. Mare frigoris, sea of cold. Mare Humboldtianum, Humboldt Sea. Mare Imbrium, sea of rains. Mare Lunae Questionum, sea of the problems of the moon. Mare Moscoviense, Moscow Sea. Mare Nectaris, sea of nectar. Mare Nocti Ambulationis, sea of walking at night. Mare Nubium, sea of clouds. Mare Personarum, sea of masks. Mare Phoenici, Phoenician sea. Mare Pudoris, sea of shame. Mare Relictum, sea of Detroit. Mare Ridens, laughing sea. Mare Spumons, foaming sea. Mare Tempestivitatis, sea of what Frank O'Hara calls cantankerous filaments of a larger faint-heartedness like loving summer. Mare vituperationis, sea of blaming. Thunderstorm stack number 1. A bird flashed by as if mistaken, then it starts. We do not think speed of life. We do not think why hate Jezebel. We think, who's that throwing trees against the house? Jezebel was a Phoenician. Phoenician thunderstorms are dry and frightening. They arrive one inside the other as torqued ellipses. Stack of the definitions of stack. Large, usually conical pile, as of hay, left standing in the field. Large quantity or number. English unit of measure, especially for firewood, equal to 108 cubic feet. Vertical pipe as to carry off smoke. Exhaust pipe of an internal combustion engine. Pyramid of 3 rifles interlocked. Structure of bookshelves for compact storage of books, usually in the plural. Pile of chips sold to or won by a player of poker. Collection of data of which only the most recently added item may be removed, the last item being at the top. Basic operations are push and pop, sometimes known as a last-in, first-out construction or LIFO. To fall over in skating. Shame stack. Shame requires the eyes of others, unlike guilt. The eyes of Elijah the Tishbite saw in Jezebel a person with much to be ashamed of. There is a link between shame and mercy. People who lack the one lack the other. No one could relax around Jezebel. Psychoanalysts say that shame ruins your capacity for reverie by making cracks in the mind where it is dangerous for thought to wander. And in the end, Jezebel's own eunuchs throw her off the parapet. Her blood is on the wall and on the horses. Shame stack, restack. Psychoanalysts require people relax around Jezebel. Mercy ruins your horses. There is a link between crack and lack. To be ashamed could throw your eyes off the parapet. Blood of others is dangerous. No one is much unlike Elijah the Tishbite. Shame stack, restack, restacked. There is a link between psychoanalysts and eunuchs. Jezebel lacks relax. Dangerous wander people throw ruin around Elijah. Blood, others, thought. Shame stack, restack, restacked, restack. Jezebel could crack psychoanalysts off your mind and ruin the lack of lack. Thunderstorm stack number 2. I watch a thunderstorm play the piano. It is Sviatoslav Richter. Don't look away, or an island where birds dive. Even on TV, the piano keys can barely hang on to his hands. Rock, stock, dock, stack. Do you need to repair your ship? Dig a trench exactly the same length as your ship. Haul your ship offside. Give the trench a base of solid rock. Put a row of stalks across the rock. Let water flow into the trench. Haul your ship back in. Now you are a Phoenician and have invented dry dock. You can repair your ship from below. Dry dock is not an example of a last in, first out construction or LIFO. Smokestack. Question about what words are. What words are. Think of an inscription cut in stone. Would you say the words are the cuts in the stone, or words are the stone around the cuts? Are the words the ink or the paper containing the shape of this ink? Think of a face. No, you can't engrave a face. Think of a sentence written as Homer might say on the tablets of your mind. Does Elijah, in virtue of being a prophet, have a mind that is one big cut, so that the word Jezebel falls through it, like fiery roof beams collapsing all at once at a surprise party? Stack of animal rights. A Phoenician first recorded the word gorilla. This was Hanno the Navigator, who voyaged from Carthage along the West African coast in the 6th century BC. His logbook contains this entry. We came to an island of savages. Most of them were women with hairy bodies, whom our interpreters called gorillas. We chased them but could not get any males, they being good climbers. We got 3 women who bit and clawed. So we killed them and flayed them and brought their skins back home. Pliny the Elder attests that gorilla skins were exhibited in the temple of Tanit in Carthage until the Romans destroyed it. According to linguists, the word gorilla renders a Kikongo term for powerful animal that beats itself violently. Cheapjack stack. The Phoenicians were a commercial people. They traded metals, weapons, ostrich eggs, shoelaces, whistles, nuts, panthers, letters of the alphabet. They invented the alphabet. They invented alphabetical order. They used these inventions for commercial transactions, which were scribbled on the back of envelopes and vanished from history. From the Phoenicians, the Greeks stole the alphabet, added a few letters, and sat down to write the classics of Western civilization. Cold, clear, and blue is the morning. Jezebel is filed between ice cream and karma. Thunderstorm stack number 3. A lolloping wind pours out the trees and night. Boughs work at the window, feet stain on the stairs. Doors slam, tables fall, ghosts fling their clocks from the balcony. Hand me mine, said Jezebel. A sentence afloat, will you listen, growing old by its sound in a fraction? Will you listen, growing old by its sound in a fraction? Cheap Thunderjack Storm Restack. Classic is the morning. Panthers fling their alphabets from the balcony. Feet vanished from history. Lolloping vanished. The Phoenicians traded me, said Jezebel, growing old at the window. Will you whistle? Will you work? Will you file? Will you fall? Will you hand me civilization as a weapon? They invented its blue sound. Stack of what made Jezebel Jezebel. Adrenaline, the thread-like pressure of small social conditions. Her father, his terrific purple eyebrows. An historical mistrust felt by people in the West for anything that comes from the East, or by people in the North for what comes from the South, and so on. Again, the picking of small stones out of the rice. This streaming of existence within me, she said. Elijah's prophecy that Jezebel's blood would end up being licked by dogs, which it did. The gold smoke of her Buick at dawn against a frozen sun. Thunderstorm stack number 4. Who cares about thunder? Problem of making a sound, to make a sound while we live. Emily Bronte's surname was an invention, you can tell by the fake umlaut. Bolt, crack, wrong accent, who cares if I don't make a sound, if you don't hear my sound? Her father invented it. Bronte being the ancient Greek word for thunder, the other Emily listened. What an afternoon for heaven when Bronte entered in, she wrote. Heaven is not an example of a last in, first out construction or LIFO. Grand stack. Dido, the tragically famed queen of Carthage, whom you may know from Virgil or from Purcell, was a Phoenician granddaughter of King Maton of Tyre and grandniece of Jezebel. I find it hard to think of Jezebel as anyone's grand aunt. One thing we can say for pretty sure is that she was not the kind of grand aunt who had a drawer in the kitchen labeled bits of string too short for use. Count stack, not counting restacks. Afternoons, 1, analogies, 3, animals, 7. Bodies of water, 34, blames, 2, brand names, 3, cold things, 3. Deaths, 504. Detroit's, 3, dry things, 131. Elijah's, 3, ethnicities, 8. Fathers, 1. Female wantonness, 4. Generalizations, 9. Hot things, 5. Imperatives, 13. Inventions, 7. Jezebels, 12. Lies, 2. LIFOs, 1. Liquids not seas, 7. Mornings, 2. Non-LIFOs, 4. Nouns, 458. Phoenicians, 8. Seductions, 2. Slant rhymes, 6. Sudden silences, 2. Thunderstorms, 7. Unrelated injustices, 15. Verbs, 145. Weather reports, 4. Writing surfaces, 14. X ratings, 3. Zealous actions, 8. Zeros, 12. Stack of the real price of everything. For $28.95 per acre, you can purchase property on the moon. Go to 244 Fifth Avenue and look for Suite 1070, home of the Lunar Registry. Earth's leading Lunar real estate agency. The agents will recommend buying a piece of the Mare Imbrium, Sea of Rains, with its central location right next to the Bay of Rainbows and the Lake of Dreams. They also have a select group of properties available in the Mare Frigoris for $19.95 per acre, and the Mare Tranquillitatis, the moon's most prestigious location, for $37.50. Limited time offer. Your ownership package includes an engraved parchment deed, satellite photograph, and geographical fact sheet. The moon is fast becoming a last-in, first-out construction, or LIFO. Why the thief ingredient accompanies all sweetness, Darwin did not tell us, wrote Emily Dickinson in a letter of 1871. You have a 1 in 300 chance of being struck by lightning, which always accompanies thunder, in your lifetime. When the Russian pianist Sviatoslav Richter was instructed by Soviet authorities to play a short mournful piece at Stalin's funeral in 1953, he substituted Bach's Prelude and Fugue in E minor and was dragged off stage. At least this story is repeatedly told about him. Richter says it's a lie. My aunt and I were having a really good time talking about Proust, but she kept pronouncing the names wrong, and in order not to shame her, I was pronouncing them wrong too, and I began to feel utterly lost. All the garbage in Detroit is burned every day in an incinerator at the heart of the city that costs $478 million to build and needs $70 million per year to maintain. In 1991, the city could not afford to maintain it and sold the incinerator to the Philip Morris Company, which will sell it back to Detroit when the bonds are paid off. Although it's been running since 1988, the incinerator has not yet had an official opening because it annually fails the state toxicity test that is a prerequisite for an operating permit. This smokestack emits arsenic, cadmium, carbon monoxide, chromium, dioxins, lead, mercury, sulfur dioxide, and toxic ash. When it was in its planning stage, the Wayne County Pollution Control Commission calculated it would add 500 deaths per year to Detroit's mortality rate. This was deemed an acceptable collateral damage. The Philip Morris Company will receive an estimated $200 million in pollution tax credits for owning the incinerator all these years. Really, to forget something you have to forget, you have forgotten it. At Rikers Island, she met women whose faces were terribly scarred. For their whoredom and sorceries, they had been cut by their pimps with a wire coat hanger heated in the fire. And when they went to bury her, Jezebel, they found no more than the skull, the feet, and the palms of the hands. Book of Kings, chapter 9, verse 35. Final, real price, restack. At least the palms of the hands. At least this story is repeatedly told. Jezebel's $37.50 engraved. And you have a 1 in 300 chance of hanging onto ruin. Sudden silences, 0. The end.